Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Red Valkyrie Presents. I am, of course, Shae the Red, again with a hidden camera. We'll see if it was worth it.
So worth it.
Oh, I don't know, dude. I'm here with my awesome co-host, CY. How are you doing?
Doing awesome. How are you, Shae?
Rushed and frazzled, and we'll see how this goes. And we have an unbelievable fucking talent. Oh my gosh. We have Mr. Eric Canete. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
How's everyone doing?
Awesome.
Good.
Having looked through your campaign, it's not an exaggeration at all. This thing looks
I'm glad.
fucking amazing.
I'm so very glad. I'm reading chat right now, and Creators Outlet is like, Eric seems thrilled. To be honest with you, this is my energy level. If it ever bumps up from here, something catastrophic is happening.
So he has his chill, just mellow.
I do.
All right. So before we go into your campaign, we have to do the drum roll and the ridiculous reveal and
ridiculous. Hold on.
Just saying.
I'm making you first, and then I'm gonna do this.
Okay.
That's about as good as it's gonna get.
Yeah, just to make this extra awkward. You ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Boom!
That is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Not as good as I
Holy
wanted it to
mackerel,
be, but at
that
least.
is so cool. I am so genuinely flattered. That is so cool. Thank you for doing it.
Of course. This is one of my favorite parts. I like it when I have a little bit more time and could execute everything like I want. And thanks to the powers that be, that did not happen today. But I feel like I did at least okay.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's great.
Oh, and I'm premiering some amazing technology that I managed to work out while Shae was putting on this cosplay. So let me... awesome. So let me make sure that this is set properly.
Ready to go. Yes. Sai is now able to play everybody's trailers in the background, and it's amazing.
So cool. That is so cool.
But it's not good enough.
Brilliant.
Because we definitely want to see the full trailer with the audio. So I'm going to do that now.
Let's do it.
Because, I'm so excited for this book. You have no idea. All right.
That's great.
Do it.
Damn. That is epic and also answers none of my questions.
I think that's what it's meant to do, right? Just give you enough of a teaser to get you sort of, titillate and get you interested, and then go like, what is this about? And then as you cycle through the campaign, maybe you'll pick up a handful of things in the summary, and everything else is left up to me should we have conversations like these. So here we are.
Nice. Well, speaking of, why don't you give us a little insight as to exactly what ARC Athena is about?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to stumble poorly through this because, again, offline we were talking about I have like the worst elevator pitch for the series. But ARC Athena is a 6-issue miniseries. It centers around the main public-facing team called ARC Athena, and they are a sort of a social media public distraction team that allows the world to operate feeling safe and feeling secure because they are effectively superstars, right? They're media sensations. Now, behind the scenes, the team that's actually keeping the world safe is a team called ARC Poseidon, who you're seeing on screen right now. And the series starts off establishing those two very specific teams and their very specific roles in global safety under the umbrella of the ARC Corporation. During the series, though, we throw all of those roles up into the air and things get kind of thrown for a loop, and we will see what a super underpowered, public-facing, super media team can do when there's an alien invasion looming in the upper atmosphere. Is that good?
Your female characters are so damn sexy. She's scrolling through, and I'm barely able to listen just because your art is so fucking good and distracting.
Thank you so much. I mean, it's, to be honest with you, the spirit of this is really trying to capture all the stuff that I had grown up with in the late 80s, early 90s, and what comic books at least were for me in my formative years when I wanted to become a comic book artist. And I said this a handful of times in the past where I felt like I checked out of the comic book industry and was taken out into space, and comic books were nowhere near my radar, the front part of my brain. And then when I came back, comics were very different. And it isn't to say that it's bad or good. It was certainly just not for me. And I go and I spent an embarrassing amount of time being overly critical of pre-existing comics, and I just got sick of hearing myself talk. And I said, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to go make my own, and hopefully I don't fall flat on my face.
Well, the chat is loving the art of this. You got Mr. Krager.
Thank you, everybody.
A phenomenal talent. And you got Mr. Warren over here.
Thank you, everyone.
That was a very awkward pause.
I was waiting on Shae to say something because she unmuted, and I don't like running her over, at least not when there's not like a vehicle present. So.
Wow! What a bitch.
That's not an admittance, I hope. That's just a...
No.
It's just facts.
Dream.
Hashtag facts.
So I like this because it kind of has almost like a The Boys feeling where like
I've heard that.
They're just the figureheads. They're like, oh, look at how sweet they are, and they save the world, and it's like, yeah, they're actually kind of douchebags, and they're not really good at what they do.
Athena and its members are, I guess, depending on what your definition is of douchebags, but they're not that kind of douchebags, right? They're the kind of douchebags that have been completely caught up in the social media and popularity contest that's involved in being what it means to be like a superhero influencer, They believe the hype that's behind them, right? Most specifically, Divana, who leads the Athena squad. She genuinely believes she has the leadership / power chops to be able to deal with an alien invasion when in reality everything is being set up for her to win, right? She's meant to be successful because the script said so, right?
Right.
Whereas ARC Poseidon and the members there, and you saw, I think if you scroll up to the red cover or to the alt cover, that's going to be Gristle who leads that team. And really what it speaks to sort of like the themes of the book, which is like leadership, accountability, and how people treat that leadership just based on their personal outlook of who they are and how they handle that mantle, right? So that's sort of like the underlying themes of the book, and then, I just wanted to draw big space alien fighting cool superhero guys. So that's the front-facing version of the book.
Yeah, I like it because if you've ever seen, have you watched The Boys? I'm assuming.
I have.
Probably.
Yep.
Yeah, so it kind of has that feel, except that it's not like they don't necessarily believe that they're amazing. They just know that they can do whatever the fuck they want.
Exactly.
Like it's like a little different as opposed to like these guys who legitimately are like, look at how good I am and I win all of the battles, and it's like
absolutely.
Do you realize that there's like all these guys that are why you won the battle?
I don't lean very heavily into that aspect of the book. As a matter of fact, I had somebody asked me, is that like continuous throughout this series? And I said, no, I only lightly touch upon that, but it really does help inform who her character is and how she conducts herself throughout this series. As a matter of fact, there's a really great, at least for me, a really great scene near the issue of book 1 where those two characters come into physical conflict, not just because of her, her public persona, but obviously her professional conduct when they're running the mission in the first book. So I think that really, for me, the concentration was making sure that those characters, there was a clear dichotomy and a clear difference between the two and their conduct.
It almost sounds kind of like so I'm military, right? So it almost sounds like the difference between officer and enlisted.
Sure.
Like the officers, the superstars that are in charge, that handle everything, but in reality, it's like, if all of the enlisted up and left, all you officers would be like, what do we do? Because like this is where the grunt work and the backbone and like
for sure
we make them look good kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so
I suspect there's a little bit of that, but also it speaks to a level of professionalism that's founded on experience, right? Founded on some metric of reality, and not the ones that the outward world is pumping into your brain, you know?
Gotcha. Yeah. Like everybody's telling you you're amazing, and that just because they're saying it doesn't necessarily make it so. It just
it's sort of like
popular.
It's sort of like the participation trophy versus the actual people who won the, you know? But yeah.
Absolutely. Eric, I'm just gonna say I agree with everything except your all caps section, because patches are amazing. It says, I'm looking forward to this book. It's great art, interesting story, no patches, and great quality. We like patches at Red Valkyrie.
Is that a trend? Is that a trend? You have an affinity for patches?
It's our favorite merch.
Oh, right.
We have awesome bomber jackets, and we're filling them with indie comic patches.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and so I'm just saying, like, if you ever decide on a new stretch
Here's
goal.
the thing, and it wasn't for the lack of input and feedback that I'd gotten from people in regards to what to include in these tiers, sort of the everything that I made available in this first campaign. And I got to be honest with you, everything was intimidating, right? I wanted to make the most sort of like bare bones. How do I fulfill this without missing a step, or at the very least keep the damage to a bare minimum, right? Mm-hmm. So in this first campaign, I really I wanted to make a really, really great book, but also I wanted to make sure that I did a lot of learning in the process of doing the crowdfunding itself, right? I know some of this, the process is old hat to a lot of different people, but never having gone through it myself, even with people sort of like lending their time, effort, and energy to help me get the campaign off the ground, I wouldn't really know for myself up until I'm going through it. In the past 30 days, well, actually less than, because there's about, 7 days left in the campaign.
7 days left.
6.
So in the time that I've had, great. That's not triggering my like anxiety at all.
No, it says 6 at the top, and you've gotten 3 backers since the show started. Just to let you know.
That's so awesome. Thank you, everybody. It is to say that I one of the key things that I really wanted to a skill set that I wanted to pick up was learning how to run this campaign. And I think one of the better things that I could have done for myself is just to make things as simple as possible. So patches are awesome. They're not, they're not off the table when it comes to like, I mean, imagine this is book 1 out of 6. So we have 5 more of these things. So it's not out of the realm of possibility for me to include that. But with this book, I just wanted to do something that was, or this first offering, I wanted to do something that was relatively quote unquote easy to wrap my mind around.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is that I remember that when I first launched this on my buddy's channel, Michael Brancroft, a lot of people in the chat were asking like, "What are your stretch goals?" Right? They were like, "What are what can we get behind?" Because obviously there's a long and I believe really amazing history of people helping the creators get to those stretch goals so that the book can sort of like experience a version of success that nobody could have planned for. But for me, again, I felt like I was so behind in regards to the crowdfunding space that I was trying to identify what was one of the pillars that I could build my brand and my book and my campaigns moving forward, and one of those pillars was establishing customer and backer trust, right? And I think one of the ways that I can garner that, or at the very least sort of aspire for that, is to just give you everything all at once. So all of the hardcover, potential stretch goal, the potential stretch goal of like UV, the potential stretch goal of like adding more pages. I said, screw that. I'm just going to give it to you all at once, all at the same time.
Oh, that's awesome. And the way that you chose to do your Spot UV, I love, because...
Thank you.
So, first off, I love Spot UV because I don't care what anyone says, like if it's like gimmicky or whatever, it just looks so slick.
Sure.
And then when people do Spot UV well, like not just your logo, when people
Yeah.
do spot UV with a purpose,
Yeah.
so just like Bancroft, when Bancroft did spot UV on Lucent, it was perfect. It was
Yes.
one of those like, oh, this just feels right.
Yes.
And then you
Yes.
turn around and you're like, so I'm going to do spot UV, and what's going to be bright and shiny, and the main focus of the spot UV are going to be the people that are in the bright, shiny limelight, and the
Sure.
main focus of everything. And then
sure.
you've got underneath, you've got the rest of your guys that are just kind of, they're matte, they're in the shadows, they're just
Right.
they're there.
Looming.
Exactly.
Behind the
And
scenes, right.
it's such
Well
a
done.
good dichotomy the way that you put it up on that cover, and so I think
Thank
that it's
you.
a really, it was very thoughtfully done, and I love it. I think it's going to be
Thank you.
fantastic.
I mean, all due credit, you know, the idea behind it, and as far as like how to do it in such a classy manner, was from Bancroft. Somewhat, you know, and don't tell him this because I just know he's never going to let me hear the end of it. But you know, it took a tiny bit of coercing from Rob Arnold to do that alternate cover. I was ready to launch. My button was hovering over the launch button, and we had X amount of days before launch. And he says, "Have you ever thought about an alternative cover?" And I was like, "No, doesn't that just sound like a lot more work?" And he goes, "Trust me, it's going to do
Yeah.
really well." And I said, "Okay." And to his credit and to the lack of sleep of my colorist, we put that one up, and people reacted really favorably to it. So, again, thanks to the both of them.
Yeah, you definitely got some good people hanging around you, despite, you know, Blouse Croft's just utter lack of visibility to try and step to my cosplay game. Try. Let's see. Hey, I'm just real quick. Bancroft, checkmate. Ready, go.
Here's the thing, and it's something that I had discovered super early, especially before even, just as I just had the seed in my head to wanting to try something like this. If it wasn't for the lack of generosity and just forwardness that these guys, the moment I sort of started doing a tiny bit of research and they found out that I was interested in this crowdfunding space, they just gave me everything. You know, they were like, this is how you do this, this is how you do this, this is how you do this. It's not that you must do it this way. It's like, here's what we've learned based on our personal campaigns.
Yep.
Here's what we've learned based on our personal experience. And that stuff, you could, you know, people have monetized that, you know?
Oh, yeah.
The cool thing about individuals in this sort of like indie publishing comic scene is that they are never short of giving you the information that you need freely and openly. You know, I saw somebody in chat that was asking about whether or not this was Common America related. It is in such a way that we are both being distributed by Iconic Comics, which is again behind the scenes research that I did. One of the biggest trip ups that I've come to identify is that people launch campaigns well, they close campaigns well, but that fulfillment thing has always been almost like an ongoing landmine, depending on how much time and effort you put into researching, right?
Absolutely.
So
Well,
behind the scenes, I asked, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say the Iconic Comics team, Tim Lim is phenomenal at what he
I-
does.
absolutely.
And he
I'm
has
about
got
to
this
speak
down
on
to
that.
a science. And the
Yep.
fact that, so if you guys haven't checked out, and I know some people feel a certain way or not, in all honesty, you're missing out on some really fucking amazing IP if you decided that you're not going to go with Iconic Comics.
Oh yeah,
There-
I've got Common America, 1, 2, and 3 sitting next
There's
to me.
Common America, there's Black Hops, there's the Walmite, they've got oh gosh, I forgot his name.
Tortoise Thumb.
No, Soul Finder.
Soul Finder, they've got Long Harbor.
Yeah, they've got all kinds
oh
of
gosh, yeah.
amazing
Absolutely.
stuff. And Iconic Comics has worked tirelessly to the point that they can now do, like, their base standard for their books is their books are hardback. That is their
Yeah.
bottom line base. Like, you
Yeah.
ain't getting floppies from them anymore. They've
Yeah.
got it worked out, and they're beautiful.
Yeah, and I think, you know, and to that point, you know, I remember, again, doing research before I dove in, you know, both feet, is, you know, I asked, like, I can't remember, was it Wes from the Thinking Critical? I asked, we were in the back room just kind of hanging out, and he was asking me about what my plans were for it was then 5 issues. As I got closer to the end, I talked to my editor and I said, I can't land this in 5 issues. I think I'm going to need to go 6. And he's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I thought people were going to be pissed, but they were like, we get more art from you? Yeah, absolutely. Or you can do 6, Anyway, so I did more research about that. And I said, like, who has a playbook similar to what I'm trying to do, which is effectively a crowd-funded miniseries that's in this space that would that I can talk to, that I can pick their brain. And we couldn't immediately identify one. And then out of nowhere, he goes, you should talk to my buddy Tim Lim. And I'll tell you a small little anecdote. When Tim and I first started talking, he was like, Eric, he initially reacted like, he's like, I don't want to deal with pros because they're just chock full of egos, And I was like, yeah, no, I totally understand. I know where you're coming from 100%. But thankfully, after an extended conversation, I sort of passed that particular metric of his to go like, you're actually approaching this as if it's a real business. You're taking it seriously. You're paying attention to all the behind the scenes, business hat wearing stuff, but also you care about your product and you care about a potential fan base. I'm like, who wouldn't want to do that? And it's like, dude.
There's a lot of them.
Right, you're not taking your fan base for granted. You're not taking your audience for granted. Your
Absolutely.
quality for granted, and you're not just assuming that everyone's just going to show up, which is...
No, I mean, that was actually the thing. I was like, if this is going to be the grind, I want to know, right? Because I want to know for myself. That way, I build up sort of a... you can't always immediately run a marathon, but you put in miles, and you're going to get your constitution up. And this is what I'm looking forward to learning. And full transparency, I was exhausted after the first couple of weeks of campaigning, but I wanted to know that. I wanted to learn it, And so to the other thing that you were speaking about, Shae, and as far as the hardcover was concerned, that's I think that sets a bar for Iconic and the artists and creators that they curate. But for me, and this goes back to what I was talking about all of 5 seconds ago, which is if you're going to support me at such a premium dollar amount, which is the baseline, the standard edition is like $25 minus shipping or plus shipping and handling, right? If you're going to be holding it, if I'm going to be asking you for $25, I want you to be holding that book in your hands, and you're like, yo, I know where $25 went, not just in the actual art, but in the actual production of this book. I helped contribute and bring, and help get this thing moving along so that now I'm holding it in my hand. I want you to be proud of that purchase,
And I just want to bring the audience's attention to a couple of quick facts that I just screenshotted off your campaign.
Yeah.
5 out of 6 are done.
Yep.
No in demand. So when that timer hits 0, that's it. And you're getting these in February.
I will get paid.
Correct. So yeah, again, that goes back to what I was talking about. Now, not everybody is going to, and I remember I got a piece of feedback from people going like, well, I really can't do that just based on whatever personal limitations, whether it be financial, whether it be like job opportunity was. Like, I really can't do that with my campaigns, and I'm not begrudging anybody who don't have the sort of advantages that I have, which was, I wanted to get as much of this book done before launch because I think that helps narrow that divide between end of campaign and to the delivery of the people who are backing it. On average, this is taking into account that some books have been considerably, and I'll say that nicely, considerably late. It turned out to be about 6 to 8 months, And I go like, how do you not fall into the memory hole 6 to 8 months after the end of campaign? I mean, there's things, I'll speak personally, there's plenty of things that I've backed on Kickstarter, on Indiegogo, that didn't deliver until much, much later. And when they finally arrived, I was like, I don't even remember backing this,
Yeah.
And
The
it's
only
fine.
reason-
Go ahead.
The only reason I remember at this point is because I literally have an Excel spreadsheet. I just
there
went
you
and
go.
updated it,
There
and I
you go.
saw how many things, because I've backed over 300 projects.
Right on. That's awesome.
And I went through and was checking, and I realized just how many things I was really, really excited for that just kind of fell off of my radar.
Sure.
And they're at least 8 months late.
For sure.
And
sure.
it's so disheartening. And reaching out to some of these people and being like, hey, your last update was 6 months ago. Like, what's going on, man?
Yeah.
Still not hearing anything from these people.
Sure.
They're like, at this point, they're starting to skate their backers. And I was like, not only am I as a consumer and a customer very hesitant on ever backing anything from you again, as a YouTube person, as half of Red Valkyrie, this is putting a significant dent in whether I would be okay with having you come back, because the whole point of Red Valkyrie, we try to show products that are good, that have thought behind them, good story, good art, with passionate creators who care about their audience. And if I, as part of your audience, can't even get you to give me an update after 8 months of you, the last thing you had was it was 2 pages from done.
Sure.
8 months later, I still don't have it, with no explanation as to why.
I can't speak to everyone else's business, but after I had discovered that, it was at the very least something that I can hold myself accountable for.
Exactly.
To say, like, this is not only is this important to me, but it's clearly important to the people who are going to back the book, not just because they are incredibly enthusiastic about it, but if you think about the long term, and I think this is something that Tim has also, if not mirrored, heavily instilled into me, which is like, we're doing this for the long game. It's not the one book that's going to take forever to get done and get delivered to you. You have a mini-series. How do you expect people to garner consumer and backer trust as if right off the gate you're late and it's well within your control? So I said that's phenomenal thinking, and I had already known a version of that, but that conversation also popped up. And I thought, like, I'm in a unique opportunity in which I can get as much of this book done. Now, keep in mind, if this had originally, I would have really loved to have said this, but if I had originally stuck to the 5-issue miniseries format, I could have said during this campaign all 5 are done. But because I had to extend it 1, I was like, 5 out of 6 are done.
Look, I understand for you that might be a personal sticking point, but for the rest of us, we're like, good fuck, you have 5 books done?
Yeah.
We're like, okay, you're 10 pages in. That's what we usually hear. I've got 10 pages done.
We've got 4 pages done. They're on the campaign. We got another 2 that are sketched. And I was like, how long is this book going to be? 170.
Yeah. Yeah. That's ambitious, for sure.
2037? Okay.
Right. And again, full transparency, I knew in the production that I was going to be the one holding people up, right? So I didn't want to be the person that's like, bro, we're ready, we're enthusiastic, and most importantly, this is part of our living. How can you sign us on and you're holding up the front end of this pre-production? I don't want anything to bottleneck to me. So as a professional promise and as a professional commitment to the team, so Eric Weathers is doing the lettering. Awesome. Giuliano Peratelli is doing the coloring, and he's doing a ton of heavy lifting. And then the person that sort of works behind the scenes is my editor by a guy of Joe Fulton. And Joe is my life jacket. Joe is sort of like that amazing resource that is not disruptive, although sometimes I'm like, Joe, don't be embarrassed to be disruptive. If the story, the narrative doesn't work, I need you to tell me. And so how can I need to hold myself accountable, not just to the fan base, but the professionals that are working side by side with me, helping to push or pull this giant campaign forward,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I sat on this for a really long time because I've got to be honest. I have been staring and drooling over your art for well over a year and a half, 2 years.
That's very kind.
Every time I see anything that you do, I'm like, Eric, this is amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to hire you, and I'm way too broke to do so. I love the fact that you've got your sketchbook up here, and you have one of my top, most favorite ever characters that hardly anybody seems to know anything about. And I love her because Big Barda, Barda is a fucking massive woman, and she's dating a teeny little man. And I understand this so much.
Don't say it. Don't you say it.
Oh, shut up. You're fine. Anyway, the thing is
just because you're a fucking giant.
Damn straight. I've seen so many different versions of Big Barda.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them where I'm like, yeah, but you made her look like a dude, kinda. Like you made her. Like, I know she's hulking, but like,
Sure.
hi, tall women exist, and we're not all dudes. I promise you. And so, I saw yours, and I was like, I'm gonna learn how to do watercolors, and I'm gonna learn how to draw pretty women. And then I got out watercolors, and I went, I can't do watercolors, like Eric. I can't. I'm not this good. And I was like, maybe I'll look at Rockefort. And I was like, fuck this. I'm not doing watercolors. Like you guys are too good. I'm just gonna cry.
I think in that case, that's very flattering. I think in that case, Kenneth gets all the credit. This is all Copic marker. I don't have patience for watercolor. I can't do that
either. I tried.
This one's a bit more. It's a little bit more controllable, and all the colors are sort of like picked out for you. And especially the way Copic's coloring system works, it's as close to formulaic as you can get. But thank you so much. That's very kind.
Did you see who? No, I was saying.
Miracle Man is tiny in comparison.
Do you see who just showed up in the chat after you gave the compliment?
He must have just woken up and was like, my ears are ringing. Somebody's paying me a compliment. I hope Eric gives me the proper credit that I made.
Rob,
he manifested cover B, according to him. He was responsible for it.
Yep, tall women can be feminine too. Amanda B has a great question. So she says, you have an unfinished samurai piece that has haunted me since I saw it, and I think I know which one you're talking about. Are any of your unfinished pieces in the sketchbook?
Gosh, I don't know. I honestly, what I did was, if there's any way to encapsulate the images that are in Drop 2021, it's all the commissions and personal work that I had put together during quarantine. So it's relatively recent. So if Amanda is talking about something that goes back 2 or 3 years, it's unlikely that it's going to be in this book. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't remember which samurai piece she's talking about. But what you're going to find in that book is the most recent batches of work. And in as far as which pieces in specific, I couldn't tell you because I gave it to my book designer, Leo. And he's the one that just said, which ones do you want me to use? I'm like, Leo, I'm trying to draw a book. Can you just please put this together so it looks semi-professional? Yeah, can you just do it, please? You know. He was like, hey, I want you to get your sleep, so yeah, you leave it to me. So I'll do credit to him putting that book together, putting the artist edition together, which is the black and white, no color, no text, 11 by 17 collection from book 1, and that's in this campaign as well. And earlier you ended up talking about the Spot UV. That is all of Leo's genius, obviously with conversations with me, but for the most part, his instincts led us down that path to go like, the books need to look like this, right? And I'm like, yep, 100%.
Amanda says it's the one you shared on Twitter a few months ago.
Oh my gosh. That narrows it down. Let me think.
Eric's like,
Was it a samurai that was on horseback or just what? The thing is, my phone is populated with stuff from like 6 or 7 years ago, And there are times when I just want to jazz the algorithm. So I'll just be like, here you go. Here's an image. Here's another image. Here's another image. All in hopes of maintaining some sort of relevancy once it came time to launch the campaign, or at least keep as many eyeballs in the campaign.
I'm going to scrub back on your Twitter, and if I find what I think it is, I'll bring it up for us.
Yes, please skip all the embarrassing stuff. So.
Yeah, there's so much.
I'll let you know when I hit one.
Creators Outlet wants to know, are all the books signed?
Yes, that's the plan. I would like to. It's all a ton of behind the scenes planning and naturally the logistics of how do I get to Iconic so that I can sign it in their warehouse and there won't be an issue of like having X amount of units delivered to my home and then having it shipped out to them. So I'm going to guess that there is. So if you're asking, will the books come with my signature? We've had a couple of solutions in place. One is the one that I was talking about, is to actually getting my butt over there and physically signing each book, or we will generate a book plate for each and every single one of them that have my signatures on it that will then be included in each book. So however the logistics work themselves
So Amanda B says it's okay. It was just gorgeous. Close-up face with the sword going across half the page. Lower half of the page isn't finished, but due to the sword, it looked intentional.
Oh, thank you so much. Now you got me curious. I'm gonna go scrub through my phone.
I'm looking.
Sounds like I'm doing it right now.
Thank you, Amanda. I really appreciate that. What does it say when somebody, like, it really means a lot to me when somebody goes, that image stuck with me enough that I can describe it to you. And I'm sitting here like a trained monkey going like, I don't remember that image.
Well, I mean, you've drawn a few
Very
things.
generous. Yes.
Yeah, you just like one or two things. See, I'm still in the stage of I know every single thing that I've done that was even remotely noteworthy because I've done about 10 of them. And
oh, I love your Alita.
Still in, I know, right?
Thank you.
Anyway, sorry, it's totally fine. I don't think you understand. Your artwork is just unbelievable. It has so much, like, you're very good at balancing delicacy with a lot of detail and bringing in absolutely beautiful colors, which I know people can get them from Copics, but I'm baffled as to how. Just like I'm baffled as to like how Kenneth does watercolors like he does.
Yeah, me too.
Because I've tried with both of them and I'm like, no, I don't understand it. I don't know how you do it.
It's a lot of trial and error, I would think. It's got to be a lot of just like, and in the error, he's confident about that error, so it's okay that he got it, that he's moving forward with that image. That was a lot of fun.
Why the hell would you label this Vanellope von Schweet?
I don't know. I should mess it up. My son is a massive Pixar and Disney CG.
Well, yeah, that's Wreck-It Ralph.
Right.
Like,
And so we were watching it at the time as I was trying to update my Twitter, and it was just the name that was in the front part of my brain when I was putting that image up. So I had a good laugh. There's another one on there called, I can't remember, like Wreck-It. I think it was, I don't know who it was, but it reminded me of Wreck-It Ralph, and that's the one I posted previous to that.
Oh, Rob says you're pretty decent at art.
He never wants to give me my due credit. So I want to make a point to that, right? So the art of doing the art for this book, it was, I can't remember, I think it was Rob, there's a handful of other people that go like, why did you open with an alien invasion? And I thought, like, because I knew it was going to be an art challenge, and people are going to, I hope people take note and are very sort of like intrigued, if not excited, seeing big action sequences and big things that are in scale. The thing that was really super paranoid, and I'll tell you guys this, but don't tell anybody else, I was really super paranoid on whether or not I could land the story. Right?
Oh.
So I was building the 5 issues, now going on 6. And I thought, like, God, this makes a lot of sense in my head. These are the kinds of stories that I want to tell. And these are the mechanisms of how to make a good story, but I've never had to take something start to finish before, And I remember getting to the end of issue 1, having all the letters up, and Joe had already put a fine-tooth comb through the story. And I said, okay, the embarrassing thing is the embarrassing thing that could happen is that we are so close to the story that we know the nuances of it, but once it gets out into the wild, people are just going to be like, we don't freaking understand. So as a small test, I sent it out to a group of people whose insight and feedback I really trusted. It wasn't going to be an echo chamber of backpats and high fives. It was literally like, if this sucks, I have time, If this sucks, tell me. And there's times when I can probably shore up certain things so it made more sense. And I sent it out to a handful of people, and I got, I believe, was pretty amazing feedback. It wasn't like none of this made sense. It was more like, this area came off a little bit confusing, but what's most helpful is they go, I think this is how you fix it. And that kind of feedback to me was just freaking phenomenal. Because it's not just like, that sucks, or dude, good luck, but this isn't really landing very well with me. Again, when creatives are helpful and you're in a community of people who want you to do well and succeed, they're happy to offer up their solicited advice. So that to me was pretty awesome.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and the thing is, and I understand what you mean. I've written things before, and I give them to friends and people that I think might get it, at least on some level, and I know who I'm giving it to because they want to see it and they've asked to see it, and I know that they're going to say, "Oh, it's good,"
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna be like, "Does not help me at all," but thank you.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's good job, buddy.
I know.
And then I have my
that
friends.
feels good. You know, that
Yeah,
feels
you're
good,
like,
but
yay! But like, I literally had moments where I was like, I want somebody to like really tell me what they think.
Yeah.
And I'm always wanting to know, because everything that I do has so much emotion behind it. I want to know
Sure.
what that emotion came across. So
For sure.
I try to give art pieces or writing to people that I think are maybe going. I know I already highlighted it.
Oh, did you?
That are maybe going to be honest with me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have a lot of my friends will be like, "It was good," and I'm like, "This is yeah, thank you." It's not helpful at all. But when you get those
Right
people that
on.
are like, "I like what you're trying to do," and you go, "Oh, okay, I fucked up. What didn't I do? Like, tell
Right.
me how I fix it.
Yeah,
how
that's
it's,
awesome.
what's messed up, and how do I make it better?" And they're like, "Well, this here, I don't really like. It's kind of out of the blue, and if you combine it over here, maybe a little bit better." And you're like, "Oh, okay, I didn't explain that one. I can go back and fix that." And you go back
Yep.
through and give it back
That's
to them. They're
amazing.
like, "Yeah, that
That's
is way
amazing.
better."
Yeah.
So anybody out there, if I ever give you anything of mine to read and I ask for your opinion, please give me your actual opinion.
That's great.
Like,
And
if
I
you
was giggling through your story because Shae and I both do editing. Shae more
Yeah.
than me, but that's the number one thing we tell writers about why they need editors is because you've shared that. First of all, you know everything about your story, so you
Yeah.
can't really separate what's on the page and what reads on the page versus what's in your mind. So that's why you really need an editor to do it. And so that's why I was giggling because that's the literally number one thing we say.
Yeah.
And
It's
Joe's a
in the
great
other-
editor, so I'm glad that I'm glad you got Mr. Thunderbuns on it.
Yeah, it took a little bit of convincing. I had to pitch him behind the scenes to be like, "Joe, this is what I'm trying, and if you're not down for it, I totally understand, but at the very least, let me pitch it to you." And after that pitch, he was like, "I think I can make room." And that was really encouraging, because if it sucked, then he would have been like, "Oh, thank you very much." He would have been polite about it, but he would have moved on. But I'm glad there was something intriguing enough for him to stick
Man,
around.
I need to get to a point where I'm sought after like albino over there.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I'm
love
a giant
Joey
pain in the
Fox.
butt to him in the, what do you call it, in the writing process, though, because Athena isn't written in traditional script style. I literally bullet point everything as far as like the things that I wanted to hit, and then go back and write the dialogue. And so for Joe to do his job well, he sort of has to like slow down for my, Cro-Magnon way of writing. But at the thankfully, he keeps me accountable for all the emotional beats that I want to hit. I think that
Nice.
sometimes in the action, he just, he's like, "Dude, you draw that stupid action stuff pretty great." The thing I really wanted him to hone in on was like, are these characters consistent? Do the themes make sense? And again, to his credit, there was a one point when he was like, "Remember when you pitched it to me in the beginning? There's not enough of that happening right now." And I said, "Joe, you and I are on the same page because I just went back and added pages." And he was like, "Oh, thank goodness." And so I
He's
showed him
like,
the
"Oh,
pages.
good."
Yeah, I showed him the pages, and he was like, "There it is. That's what we're missing. Congratulations, we did it."
Awesome. So let's go over your tiers.
Yes.
Because you have amazing stuff on offer, and this is the best part. Is this is my stripped down campaign where everything's going to be nice and simple and
Wait,
It
sweet.
is. It
is that it?
I don't think so.
Ah, damn it.
Maybe. I'm like, how many samurais have I
I'm gonna punch you
drawn?
if you don't stop taking my screen share down. All right. So your featured perk is
Yes.
obviously the best deal.
I would think.
Because you're
Yeah.
getting everything, and
Yes.
why would you not want literally every single bit of artwork you could get from this man?
Thank
Like
you.
all
so
of
much.
it.
There's, you know what? That is actually a point of conflict. I've said this more than a handful of times. So for those of you who've heard it, bear with me. Somebody asked me on stream, I think it was on Rob's, if they said if you could recommend a tier for us, which one would it be? And immediately my businessman hat, I put that on, and I was like, well, in as far as the numbers for the campaign and yada yada, what it could make, obviously, like the featured bundle would make a lot of sense. You're not only getting the best bang for your buck, but also all the things that are associated with that would help benefit that end number. But a part of me, at least a very creative part, was just like, read the book. Read the book, because we have 6 of these things. And if you're not zoned into the story, if I don't capture you with like the first book, which is like the introductory, right? Then I don't know if you're gonna have any business with me moving forward. But if you read it and you're excited about it, that's so freaking awesome. That is so freaking awesome, because there's 5 more waiting, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is, I think that, so yes, you're a phenomenal artist. Everybody knows that if they've paid attention. I think the thing that is getting people the most excited about this is not only it's your artwork. So, I mean, you know, people flock to try and get a pinup from an artist that they love. So, oh my gosh, this has an art book and it has the artist version and it has the color version, and I could get every last bit of Eric that I want right here, and this is awesome. I think the thing that is probably getting people the most excited is having somebody with your background, with your understanding of how the pros do it, how everything works there and all that, and then you're going, I just want you to read the story.
Yeah.
Like, I really just want you to get the story and to tell me what you honestly think about it. And all of us are going, that's just what all of us want too. Like, we all just want people to read our stories and enjoy them the way that we enjoy making them. And to hear a pro come back and be like, I mean, I really just want you to read my story.
Yep.
It gets you more excited, because you're like, he's coming from where I'm coming from. Like, it's the same place.
Well, that's the thing. You know, I not only do I back my fair share of crowdfunded, comic books as well, right? And I often go just for that basic one, unless there's really something phenomenal in there. I'm like, whoa, I want that original piece of art, you know? So like, if I read it and I'm on board, whatever it is moving forward that you have as a writer, or as a full-on creator where you're writing and drawing your own stuff, if I'm on board with that first one, it doesn't take much for me to go like, yeah, whatever you do from here on down, I'm gonna back that thing, And there's been plenty of times where I'm like, oh right, pretty to look at, but as far as my emotional investment to the characters, it was clear that this is a visual ride, not a narrative one, or at least there isn't that really careful, deliberate handshake between narrative and visual, and that is for me that's a trap, because I can draw all the pinup art that I can draw, but because I'm doing a mini series, I would hope that I do a fair enough job telling you that story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yep.
So we got through one tier. We're doing great.
We're doing great. We're doing good.
All right, so the standard edition.
Yes. Standard edition is just 64 pages, hardcover. You're going to get it. There's 49 story pages in the book. The rest is supplemental material. That's going to be all the concept art that I did. A couple of pages that didn't make it to print because I thought of a better angle, and I just redrew the whole thing altogether. Keep in mind, this is all done in the digital pipeline, so I move a lot faster than I would if I were drawing it traditional. But still, it's a page that I'd come to finish and then go, I don't really like that. We're not going to use it, so we're going to redraw it again. This time as a double page spread or something like that, And again, all the concept art, maybe a couple of the notes that I made while I was bullet pointing issue 1 or the main miniseries, but nothing too spoilery that you're going to get ahead of the story. So 64 pages in total, hardback, spot UV on the cover and on the back cover, and then that's it. That's the standard edition.
And then you have for international shipping.
That's right. Yeah. So here's one of the great benefits of having the experience of an iconic comics, right? They've identified regions of the world that get a lot of high traffic in as far as their crowdfunding experiences have been. Now, I've gotten pieces of feedback from people saying like, hey, I live not in the regions that you've identified for this shipping, right? And I thought like, oh, I would love to be able to order your book, but unfortunately, I'm out of that area. And I said, that's great. But the reality of it is, and I just got through talking to somebody about this 2 weeks ago, Amazon has completely skewed people's perception of what it means to have shipping sent to them in a semi-affordable manner, right? They've completely screwed up people's perception of what it means to have logistics reach out to your region of the world and have it still be it costs, you know, and not have it be astronomically expensive.
Right.
Right. So here's the thing. If I were to offer up this book to you at $25, you're like, awesome. I think that's still approachable to me. But if you're in that region of the world where shipping does not make sense to you, where it costs almost 2x, 3x to get that book shipped to you, that's not going to leave a good taste in your mouth. Right. So the
Right.
ask is, what can we do about supporting this book and getting a chance to read your story digitally if that's not available to me? And there's news coming about that very, very soon.
Awesome. Very, very good to hear. All right. So then you have the bundle,
Yes.
which
Yep.
is
And
your art book.
yeah,
with
it's a standard edition plus the art book, right? The next one is going to be the standard edition plus the artist edition. And in any of those instances, you can actually just put either or as an add-on. You'll have the thing, but it doesn't make much sense to me since you can go directly to the featured perk and make out so much better there as far as dollars and cents are concerned.
Absolutely. And so the black and white edition, that's your artist edition, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yep.
11 by 17.
11 by 17,
Damn.
all 48 pages, 48 pages are in there, minus color, minus text, which I'm sure Eric Weather is just giving me a hard time over. But it's the black and white. And to me, it goes back to when I would see photocopies, as an artist, when I would see photocopies of people's black and white artwork, and I learned so much from that. You know,
Oh, yeah.
in full size, 9 by 12. Although again, this was a digital pre-production, so conceptually, this is just trying to capture the spirit of that. In the back of this book, I think this is 56 pages in total, the artist edition. It also has a ton of like concept art and pre-production art that's not in the main edition or not in the standard edition of the book. So there you go.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I had to see what I backed on this real quick. Oh, good. Oh, I was smart and I backed what I was hoping I backed. Okay.
And then there's the ARC Athena limited edition one, and there's only 500 of these. And Rob just really, once Rob found out that there was a limited edition one and it was only available to X amount of places in the world, he was really like, "You're kidding me! I gave you this idea and I can't even get this freaking book." But the answer to that is yes. You're eventually able. I was eventually able to adjust that tier so that it's available to a lot of different places all over the world. Now the key thing is there's only 500 of those, and thusly limited edition. But it also comes with a 4 by 6 inch original sketch card from me, which I've been working on already because I don't want anything to slow down when it comes to Iconic sending these out to you. So here's a stack that I've drawn already
Nice.
of all those head sketches.
So they're all
Yeah.
just random head sketches.
They are. Yep.
Okay. That was going to be my question. All right. And then at 250.
Yeah, so that is the standard edition in a 9 by 12 black and white bust. I gotten questions behind the scenes on whether or not that 9 by 12 is, you know, specifically, because as it is, the 4 by 6s are all ARC Athena related, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 9 by 12s, because this is effectively a commission tier, they asked, does it need to be ARC Athena related as well? I said I would prefer that it is, because obviously I would want to celebrate these characters. I love drawing them. I've been drawing them for X amount of months now. But at the end of the day, it is a commission tier, so it's up to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And then 11 by 17 character
Yes.
commission.
Yeah, so that's similar to that 9 by 12, only much bigger, and obviously it's going to be a full body. Now, what's misleading about that 11 by 17 is I don't know. Oh, I know what it was. When I finally saw the image that we were using as an example for that tier, it had already launched, and limitations being what they are, the Indiegogo won't let you change the image inside the preview box. So anytime they have an opportunity to talk about it, it's not going to be in black and white like that. It's going to be closer to this. See this?
So just to let you know,
Yeah.
if you need to modify a tier that's already sold,
Mm-hmm.
you can hide that tier,
Yes.
duplicate
Absolutely.
it,
Absolutely.
and then just lower your quantities and
Yep.
make your changes.
Yep. That's going to be a change that I should do sooner rather than later. But yes, you're absolutely right. And then the last one is going to be the standard version of the book plus an 11 by 17 replication of the cover art. Now, what do I mean by that? So I said earlier, all of ARC Athena was done digitally, but no original art exists of it, at least in the traditional way that you think of original art, which is 11 by 17, pen and ink. I'm going to reproduce that cover in black and white and ink and pencil it as if it was going to be ready for print.
Ooh, wow, that's a lot. So I'm super in love with your campaign.
Thank you.
But I mean, I'm a huge fan of you, so it makes
kind.
sense. And for anybody who was curious, since I put it up on the screen and I don't know if Cy ever read my answer, the featured perk, that would be
Awesome.
what I backed. Because,
So we get to wrestle for it. Okay.
no. See, I'm pretty sure I get paid again, and I'm just saying, like, my birthday's coming up, y'all. So people want to super chat a little bit, maybe through PayPal, so it's actually instant and not going to happen sometime mid-November. I definitely am thinking about at least getting one more copy of the main book, because Cy obviously needs their own copy because I'm not sharing.
And please read it. Please read it and give me your feedback. I'm easily accessible through all of my social media, primarily on Twitter and also on Instagram. Less so on Instagram these days because I just have so much energy during my day that I can only sort of allocate it at any given time. But on Twitter, on both Twitter and on Instagram, you can find me at Eric Canete. And if those things are not your cup of tea, you can go directly to my website and message me there. While you're there, you can also sign up for my newsletter. I think it's beneficial long term, is because that's one way I'm going to be able to update the campaigns as I go along. You can go to ericcanete.com. If you wait a little, a prompt will come up. You can sign up for that newsletter. That newsletter is directly related to my blog. So anytime that I post anything up on that blog, it will update you and tell you there's stuff to take a look at. I update it with like art, I update it with, I will be updating it with like, oh gosh, what do you call it? When your time lapses of some of my pages or some of the things that I'm drawing, behind the scenes stuff that I'm working on when it comes to ARC Athena, not the least of which trading cards and posters for the future of the campaign. And I think Cy had a version of what I was incentivizing people with at the beginning part of this campaign to sign up, which was those 8-inch busts of Divana.
Mm-hmm.
From earlier. So leading into the campaign, the runway was about 7 months or so, maybe more, maybe less. But in 4 months shy of the campaign launching, I was saying, hey, at the end of every month, if you sign up for this for my newsletter, I will be at random sending out one of these 3D printed busts to you as a thank you for taking a chance on getting this information from me. And that's what we've been doing. And I think I'm going to do that again for each subsequent campaign moving forward. But the next time it's going to be a different character from the series.
Nice. That is awesome. I still really want to see patches at some point. And if you decide that you're ever going to consider them, let me know. We know a guy who does fantastic. They do fantastic work for patches. We've recommended him to pretty much everyone who's ever come on our show, and all of them have come back and been like, yeah, these are badass. So
yeah.
If you want, let me know. I'll give you the information.
Yeah. Amanda brings up a very good point. I haven't backed yet. I was set to back day one, but couldn't get the combo I wanted without backing twice, and it will give me the extras I don't need. It really bummed me out. Yeah, and I'll take that on the chin, Amanda. It was a lot of trial and error on my part and not really realizing how to optimize the campaign. So it is to say that I was like, I wish I had more experience in this space. As much feedback and help that I'd gotten from people behind the scenes, that level of predictiveness, I don't know why that went directly over my head and was like, oh, that should have been so glaringly obvious that there should have been a 5x6 a 4x6 sketch tier, or at the very least, all these add-ons that are available to you. I don't know why that zinged by me, but that's my fault. I'm sorry about that.
Well, I'm hoping, because that is the one thing that I love about Indiegogo versus Kickstarter. Kickstarter, like, you hit launch and you're just kind of locked into whatever
Yeah.
you did. Like that's
Yeah.
that. But Indiegogo, you hit launch and you can update tiers and you can
Yes.
add, you can do
Yes.
new add-ons. You can put add-ons to new tiers and things like that. So,
Yes.
Amanda, if you haven't backed yet and you still can't get what you want, hit Eric up. I am
Yes,
sure that
please
he will
do.
be able to fix it so you can get your add-ons for a small sketch and the featured tier, because
Please do.
I am with you. I'm with you. I kind of want that too. I mean, if we're gonna be honest,
Yeah. Yeah. I love that feedback.
This is an unbelievably well cared for and thought out campaign, and despite it being kind of pared down because you're trying to make sure that you're delivering what you say you're going to deliver, there's a lot of option on this. There's a lot of
Yeah,
cool.
I think there's a lot of things just based on that runway research that I did, where I would get excited about people's campaigns and go like, ooh, that's really cool. Gosh, I would love to have, insert item here, But then I was like, I don't know how well I would be able to do this to the point where I am really, what do you call it? Like, not proud, but like confident that I would be able to do that thing well. So let me do this first campaign and notch it on my belt, and then start to, based on that, hopefully build enough courage to do something more ambitious moving forward. And then the creative part of me is just like, please read the book. Like all of the doodads, all of the things, all of the extra bells and whistles that come that are great to be able to back won't hold as much weight with me if you read the book and it sucks.
Yeah.
Please, I hope that I put my energy and my effort into the right thing, which is making sure that the narrative makes sense and that you're into the characters.
I mean, that should always be the case. And so I'm pretty sure if that's what you focused on, I'm sure it was the
We
right
will see.
move.
We will see. We are trying to get this to you. It's said 4 months, but wink, wink, maybe it'll be less than that.
Ooh, very nice. Sai, do you have any other questions for Mr. Eric Canete?
No, I'm digging through his
still trying to
Twitter
find
images.
somewhere.
No, I'm just finding everything else that I love, and that's why your DMs keep going off, because I keep
I was
forwarding.
wondering why I keep getting hit with
Yep.
DMs. Oh, there's this one, and there's this one, and there's this
Thanks.
Well, I mean, I found
very
another Big Barda. I found
Yeah.
Negasonic Teenage Warhead. I found like all kinds of awesome shit. So I'm just going through it all.
Yeah, this one, again, this book, I'm so I'm nervous and proud of it, because you guys just mentioned a lot of the stuff that I've been putting up on my social media, and those are fun to do because I learn a lot from them. There's always a challenge in front of me when it comes down to me drawing something. It's not just like, oh, let me draw because it's hot right now, because like, let's say in the Barda one, I didn't know, the one that's on the campaign, I was like, I don't know how I would draw and render those scales. So I just put that challenge in front of me. It just happened to be Big Barda, So
And
that's a
my
lot of
favorite
fun.
part of it.
But at the end of it, it doesn't belong to me. And so that's when the nervousness comes in, which is ARC ATHENA is mine, right? Obviously with the help of a very, very talented core group of creatives who have more experience in this space than I do, between Jules and Eric and Joe. But like this one holds a near and dear spot in my heart that's not fan art related. And I really hope that it delivers for you in the reading that it has in the experience of me making it.
Well, if the story is half as good as the art, you're gonna blow everyone away.
Oh, we're in trouble. We're in a lot of trouble. It's just 40 pages of them chewing bubblegum,
I'd buy it.
As long as they're not lecturing me, it'll be fine. Seriously, this was so amazing. I'm so glad that we got you on. Can we
Holy
please
cow,
get
what's
you-
amazing is the fact that you got that put together in X amount of time before we went live. That is so
2 hours.
cool. Thank you so much.
Did not have the time that I was hoping for.
That's
But
wonderful.
can we just solidify this down now? Can we get you on for your next book? 'Cause
Absolutely.
Marty, we're already
Absolutely.
there.
I love having these conversations,
Yes,
because it
this
makes me
is-
feel like, it's a similar talk, if not identical, to the conversation that I used to have, and this will date me really, really poorly. But I used to do like San Diego Comic-Con, in which I would print things on demand, and I would be there with a bunch of creators back when San Diego wasn't like the overwhelming juggernaut that it is now. But I'd be in Artist Alley just taking the time to talk to creators about their projects and be like, okay, that's really freaking cool. I never thought about that creative nuance or that business nuance about like how did you get it into previews, how did you like all of these things that are comic book related coming from an independent perspective. So that's why I have an appreciation for these kinds of conversations.
Absolutely. Well, and it's always so wonderful to get to talk to somebody whose artwork you love and hear the same kind of things that happen to all of us. Like, you're like, yeah, I'm launching a campaign, I'm really nervous, and we're like, what?
Yes.
Why?
100%.
Like, I'm nervous. Why are you nervous? This makes no sense to me. Like,
part of it, not all of it, part of it is nervous because I want to represent my team well, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of talented guys who said, yeah, I'll take a chance out of my day-to-day, whatever it is. I mean, they were all busy. And to each of their credit, they were like, okay, just based on your Twitter, we really like your work, so we're going to take this chance on you. I'm like, oh, I better not screw them up. So part of that nervous comes from representing them well. Yeah. Don't make those guys look bad is where I'm coming from.
I don't think that that's a concern,
Nope.
to be perfectly honest. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. You are welcome back on Red Valkyrie literally anytime. We do all kinds of stuff, chill streams on Fridays. So you ever get bored, you let me know. I'll shoot you the link.
I appreciate that. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, CY, for doing all the backstage, getting all this stuff ready.
Thanks,
so we
man.
could have such an awesome show.
You are very welcome. It's a pleasure working on thumbnails when the art is there.
Right?
Appreciate it, man. Thank you, everybody.
The biggest thank you is to our beautiful chat. Thank you guys so much for coming out, for watching, sticking with us, asking your amazing questions, supporting Eric, and you guys are just amazing. We love you to death. We couldn't do this without you. Eric couldn't do this without you. Please make sure that you share this out. There are 6 days left, and we want to get this into as many hands as humanly possible. So thank you guys so much for being with us, and come back at 8 o'clock for our next stream for Pocus Hocus, and we will see you guys later.
Bye.
Thank you all. Thank you.